Hi, I'm Ruggero from One Foot in the Dough, and today I want to talk about subtlety, about the importance of leaving space for the audience. This is something that applies both to acting. I've already spoken about this a little bit, but I think it applies even more to filmmaking in general. It's both screenwriting, but mainly I think it is directing. Okay, so any way you're involved or interested in filmmaking, this is important, I think. So, to show you what I mean, I want to show you a little clip from this amazing series, which is The Haunting of Hill House. It's on Netflix. I do absolutely recommend you watch it. So let's have a quick look. I'll need to sort of stop and start the clip as we go, because otherwise it might get stopped, might get blocked for copyright reasons. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so tiny bit of context. The story, if you haven't seen it, is about this family that used to live in this haunted house when they were children, and then the story flashes back and forth between the present day when they're adults and the past. So obviously here we are in the past and we see one of the children sleeping, and let's see what happens.
Not you, Nellie. I had another nightmare.
So here she thinks she's that it's her sister Nellie. So she says, you know, did you have a nightmare?
Okay. You can sleep with me for tonight. I'm really freaked out, huh? He's up a little. Nellie, you're squeezing too tight. Nellie.
Creepy.
Nellie?
Now, until this moment, I think the scene is brilliant, and then this happens.
Whose hand was I holding?
Whose hand was I holding? Okay, why don't I like this moment? I don't like this moment because it's unnecessary and in your face. We get it. Of course we get it. It's scary. We absolutely understood what was happening. It's the scene, I think, is perfect after it should end when she says Nellie. But then they have her say this extra thing. Now, just to be absolutely clear, I love this series. I think it's absolutely fantastic. They've done such an amazing job to let us fall into this, to let us wander and get on the journey with these characters, which is why this particular moment stood out to me in a bad way, because it's just unnecessary. It's like, okay, you're shoving it in our face that, oh, it wasn't Nellie, it was a ghost, so whose hand was she holding? Yeah, we get it. We don't need you to spell it out for us. We get that. And as I said, it's unusual because for the rest of the series, they don't really do this. They stay just on the right side of, they give us enough information that we can put the rest in together ourselves, and we realize most of the time what's happening and why it's happening. And that's what I think any good movie, any good story should do. You should leave space for the audience to fill in the blanks. If you spell things out for them too much, it doesn't quite work. Now, I've been thinking about this because very recently I rewatched an amazing TV series, an amazing cartoon series, which is Neon Genesis Evangelion. I absolutely recommend this for anybody who's interested in directing, filmmaking, not acting because it's a cartoon, But if you are interested in storytelling, this is brilliant. You can find it on Netflix at the moment. Why is it brilliant? Because it's an absolute masterclass in this, in leaving space for the audience to do part of the job, do part of the work. You might argue that they do it too much. You'll see there's tons of videos on YouTube trying to explain what the hell happens in Evangelion. I've got a friend in Italy who literally wrote a book, and he's about to publish it, co-wrote a book, and he's about to publish it, where he explains what happens in Evangelion. So you might say, you know, that's too much, okay? But the truth is, this is an extremely successful series, has such a fan base, because people are so invested in it. Now, just to give you a quick idea of this, okay? The simple story is, the classic teenagers are chosen to pilot giant robots to fight big monsters that come every other episode. So you might say, okay, that's stupid. It's really not, okay? It plays with a lot of tropes and a lot of things that happen in this type of series. Now, at one point, around episode 14, I think, a friend of the lead character is also selected to become a pilot. And this is protracted over 3 episodes, okay? And in these 3 episodes, we never hear it said out loud that it is this person, it is this character. We never see anybody telling him. We get glimpses of this. So we completely understand that it was him being chosen, but we are never ever shown. It's never actually said, to the point that you might expect it to have a twist, that it actually wasn't him. It was. And it works so well. It works so amazingly well because it keeps us slightly guessing, slightly wondering. So it makes us more interested into people's reactions than in the fact per se. The fact per se is pretty stupid in a way, you know, for that series. Okay, great, you've been chosen to pilot this thing. It's not that, it's the emotional impact that this has on everybody else and on this character as well. But again, not when they tell him, but it's the contrast between the before and the after. Before that, he's very carefree, he's, you know, always making jokes or whatever, and then suddenly we really see that he's got something heavy on his mind, and we really feel the impact. And part of the strength of this impact is the fact that we're never told. If we were shown the scene where they tell him, it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work as much. I think this is very important to understand. We get a whole spectrum of this. So how much do you give to the audience? How much do you want the audience to do, basically? If you do everything, if you give them all the information and you show them every single thing, we end up basically with a soap opera. That's what soap operas are. The idea of a soap opera is that anybody can turn on episode 29 of series 54 halfway through, and within 3 minutes you're caught up, you understand everything that you need to understand to enjoy it. Because there's no subtext, everything is said out loud. Of course, again, there are exceptions, I'm not saying they're all the same, but that is the main idea of a soap opera. It's a daily thing that people put on whilst they're washing the dishes, so they're not really paying that much attention. But you know, it kind of gives them a few emotions, a few things, but there's not that much work required from the part of the audience. Sure, if you love it, you sit there every day and you watch it, but at the same time, you don't have to really think about it too much. On the other end of the spectrum, we go usually more on artsy-fartsy movies sometimes, or the more auteur movies as well, you know, not just artsy-fartsy, but, you know, some very good ones. The Mirror by Tarkovsky, absolutely. Inland Empire by David Lynch, for example. Movies that are arguably too much, on the other hand, where you feel like the filmmaker is not giving you anything, and it's all up to you to give your own interpretation of what is going on the screen. Most movies obviously don't fall within at these extremes, they fall more or less in the middle. And then it's up to you to figure out how much you want to give. Now, even if you're looking at making movies which are more commercially available, commercially interesting, I would still recommend find ways to let the audience do the work. Sometimes, you might have the result of a scene. If it's clear where the scene is going, you might want to leave out the ending of the scene. When the big revelation, the big news, if a scene is building up to someone making a decision, cut away before the decision is made. If it's clear enough where the scene is going and that the decision will be made, cut away before it is made, for example. Or, there are so many opportunities to just take something off or just leave something out and let the audience fill in the blanks. Personally, I think a good ratio is actually 50-50. You do 50% of the job and you let the audience fill in the blanks for the other half. This also applies to acting. I have discussed this before in other videos, but it does apply to acting in the sense that quite often actors, when they first read a scene or first start rehearsing, even when they come on set and they're prepared, they tend to go for the most obvious interpretation. And the most obvious interpretation tends to be the one where you show everything. You show every emotion. You show every step in the thought process. And sometimes that's what you need, okay? Sometimes you do, other times you don't. The key thing here is to really look at what is being said. So if a character is already spelling out what he or she thinks or feels, playing it exactly how they're saying it is usually quite boring. It's quite over the top, it feels, because, okay, you're shoving us the same information twice. You're saying it and you're showing it. It's better if you do the opposite. If you're saying it, show something else. If a character says, "I hate you" to someone, sure, you can say, "I hate you," screaming out loud, but maybe it's more effective if you underplay. If you go like, "I hate you." So you have this restrained thing, or even something completely different, something like, "I hate you." The smile is such a contrast with what the meaning is that it becomes interesting. Quite often is that gap between what we are told and what we see that is interesting, because it's in that gap that we leave space for the audience to fill in the blanks, to get more connected to a character. Ooh, why did that character say this line in this way? It's not obviously a conscious process. It's something that we do unconsciously, that we just connect with this more because there is space for us to get that. And obviously same thing more, as we said, in general with the overall storytelling of this. If you leave us guessing a little bit, if you don't give us all the answers, that might be better. That might be a lot more interesting. A way to think of it that I like is like you're doing a puzzle, but you only put down 50% of the tiles. And then you leave to the audience to draw up the rest. Sure, the overall picture is clear. They get what is there, but they need to actually fill in their blanks with their own imagination. Let me know what you think, guys. I think this is quite an important thing to understand and to keep in mind, and it's extremely difficult to do. So let me know. What are examples of movies where you think the filmmakers did this extremely well? And what are examples of movies where they really did not understand this at all? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you have any other topics you'd like me to talk about, leave a comment below as well. Thank you very much. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.